Okay, let's go ahead and get started. My name's Kevin Sparks, and I want to open up by sharing my screen and some things that will be important to us going forward today. So let me go ahead and do that really quick. All right. So, first thing that I would like to do is share with you that we have a Facebook group that coincides with our meetups. Okay. The Facebook group has exactly the same name, other than it doesn't have a city attached to it. It's called I Want to Be Really Rich, and I do not apologize for it. And you can find it at facebook.com/groups /I want to be really rich. Okay. So, why would you even want to be a part of the Facebook group? First of all, outside of the 45 minutes or so we have together Monday through Friday, it's a place where you can interact with us. The other reason is because what we do, well, a couple things. Number one, if you want to learn and know and understand more about the group itself, there's what we have at the very top is pinned there, announcement one, which is essentially an introduction to the group, what's going on, and a little bit of my background. So you know why I started the group and you know how I'm able to help, I guess. Okay. The other reason, though, is because we are taking the recordings. As long as I remember to record them, once in a while I don't, but more often than not I do. So far, so good. Getting this group started, I haven't missed recording anything. But this is where we go ahead and put the recordings. So you can see here, we've got it. That was yesterday and the day before, and so on and so forth. So, couple things. One, now that you've registered and you're here, you are now registered for all of them that we have going through about middle of January. However, you may or may not be able to make it every Monday through Friday, so it's an opportunity for you to catch up if you like. The other thing it is an opportunity for you to review in case you attended something you really liked and maybe wanted to go back and you heard something or saw something and you're like, oh shoot, I need to go back and review that. So that's why I wanted to share with you the Facebook group. Next thing I want to go ahead and share with you, actually, here's what I'll tell you right now really quick, okay? Because I know there are people in here that are going to pop on, and some are going to pop on maybe 5-10 minutes from now. Too bad they didn't start at the beginning. However, when they pop on, they might pop into chat trying to ask questions. I'm not going to be paying attention to chat right now, okay? We're going to have hopefully plenty of time for questions, answers, commentary, and things like that. What I like to do is run things for the first part, kind of share some information that I think is relevant to helping you, and then leave the last 10 or 15 minutes open for conversation and for ahas, for sharing, and for question asking. Okay. So I wanted to say that because if you're typing into chat, I'm probably not going to be seeing it or paying attention until after we get to that point. All right. Next thing the next thing I want to share with you is a book that we actually have been in the process of studying. Today would be like day number 10 of this particular book. We're getting closer to finishing it up. And it is a book called The Science of Getting Rich. Okay. You could easily go find a paperback copy, not hard to find. You could find a Kindle copy. I happen to have those things myself. However, I wanted to make it extra easy for all of us. So I went ahead and did what do we all do, right? We ask Almighty Google. I typed in Science of Getting Rich PDF and organically, so probably first or second thing that showed up was a website here called thesecret.tv. And then you can see these other things, including Science of Getting Rich in there. Here's what I already knew about the website. If you've heard of the movie or the book The Secret, you know that that was created by Rhonda Byrne. Obviously, she's about the law of attraction and manifesting and things like that. Okay. So I clicked on it and she was offering a free copy of the book Science of Getting Rich. So I just went ahead and downloaded it. And the reason I'm telling you about it, I don't get anything for this, but is so that we could all follow along together if we wanted to. because we're going to be starting on page 51 of the PDF file. I don't know if it's page 51 of the book, but it's page 51 of this file. And if you were to go to there and download it, you can follow along. The other thing you can do is you can get it, and over a few days maybe, or it really is, if you read the whole book from front to cover, you actually could do it in just over 2 hours. I've done that many times, and it's a great read. It's worth doing. But over a couple days, maybe possibly, you can get caught up with us. If you don't feel like getting your own copy, that's fine. You can see it on the screen right now. So I'll be sharing my copy on the screen itself while we're going through this. Now, why did I pick this particular book? I have a lot of different materials that are helpful, that will help us in our quest for increasing income and developing wealth in our lives. I chose this one because of the impact it had on me. But let me first of all, Rhonda Byrne, if you have not seen the movie The Secret, you can see it easily on Netflix. Or if you haven't read the book, basically the book is a transcription of the movie. Highly recommend both the movie and the book. I really enjoy the movie quite a lot. And maybe you've seen that. But this book was given to Rhonda Byrne by her daughter. And when Rhonda received the book from her daughter, it was the impetus for her to have a total turnaround and change in her life. And as a result, she decided to create the movie and write the book, The Secret. So that's why we have it today. Why does this one matter to me? Well, I need to tell you, I've got a couple different mentors in my life. I'll keep this brief. I actually have a lot of people that I can give thanks to as mentorship. But there's two particular people that I spend a lot of time with, working together with. And one of them is a gentleman by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki and a person who at the time was his business partner, Sharon Lechter. They formed Rich Dad Company. If you don't know who Robert Kiyosaki is, you may have instead have heard of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad or the game Cash Flow. Anyhow, he and Sharon Lechter and their team are the creators and founder of all that stuff. And once upon a time, several years ago, I was asked by Robert to consult with his team and help him do some things to grow his business. At that time, it was awesome. Well, it was great because I was learning more and more about business, entrepreneurship, investing, and things like that. And so watching them unfold how their business operated and seeing the inside workings of it and having that kind of relationship with them, obviously I learned and grew a whole lot too. So I would consider Robert and Sharon definitely mentors of mine that made a big difference in my life around how I view money, finances, business, and things like that. I have another person though who really has probably been an even bigger impact, and that's a gentleman by the name of Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor, if you haven't heard of him, he's the author of a book called You Were Born Rich, and he is heavily highlighted in the movie and the book, The Secret. Bob Proctor is someone who I actually hired to be a personal coach of mine, and he has been, and I've also been trained to be a coach for his programs and a facilitator for those. And I did that for a period of time. Now I'm independent of that particular group, but I'm still friends and I still interact with several of Bob's coaches and trainers and mentors and whatnot. But why did I choose to actually hire Bob to do that in the first place? Well, here's why. Back several years ago, I was introduced to the science of getting rich by a gal. Her name is Leslie Householder. Leslie Householder, interestingly enough, at the time was a coach and facilitator for some of Bob Proctor's programs. And she offered a seminar called The Science of Getting Rich, a 3-day seminar, which I chose to attend, and had a lot of big aha moments for me when I went through the seminar. Obviously, if the book can be read in 2 hours, there's a lot, there's a lot more to a 3-day seminar than 2 hours. So I received a lot more information, but it was around this topic and how things work when it comes to manifesting what you want in your life. So that ended up having a huge impact on me. And when the seminar was over, we all were a self-study program that was created by Bob Proctor, which was essentially the seminar. Okay. Little bit different format, again, set up for self-study with the workbook and audios to follow along and learn from Bob. And I proceeded over the next 2.5 to 3 months, basically to spend about an hour a day to 3 hours a day, give or take, over about the next 90 days or so. Well, what happened to me as a result of this is I ended up, at the time I had a job, I was earning $5,000 to $6,000 a month. Bob repeatedly, actually, I should say repeatedly, it felt repeatedly, he had said in that particular workshop in the self-study, how would you like to make your annual income your monthly income? Now, that was something, of course, I wanted that, right? That'd be awesome. But it never had crossed my mind that way, that that was possible, first of all, because my annual income, if you took $5,000 times 12 months, that'd be 60 grand a year, right? Okay. That would be pretty significant. And so 60 grand a year would be 60 grand a month. And I thought about that and I'm like, well, that would be awesome. I was just hoping to get to six figures for now. I was hoping to leave my job and become my own business, own my own business and be an entrepreneur. And yeah, eventually get there. But Bob wasn't talking about doing it over a period of like 5 years. He was talking about doing it over a period of like 12 to 24 months. Anyhow, because of what I received and because I decided to suspend my disbelief about the whole thing, I decided, you know what, if this guy's done it and he's helped other people do it, I might as well pay attention and see what he's got to say. Ultimately, here's what happened after. So we're talking about, went to the seminar February, so you got February, March. By April, so less than 3 months, actually 2 months into this, I was able to quit my job. And over the next 8 months, so April through December of the year, my income went up. And when I looked at the average income over the next 8 months, when I reviewed how the year had gone, it averaged out to over $50,000 a month. I nearly, well, in 8 months, right? I nearly turned my annual income into my monthly income. So I'm sharing this with you. This was given to Bob Proctor, by the way, by mentors of his, Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant. Depending on your age, you maybe have never heard of these gentlemen. If you're a little bit older like I am, you might have heard of them, but they created a company called the Nightingale Conant Corporation. Well, why is that significant? Well, it's because Lloyd Conant had received the book Science of Getting Rich, shared it with Earl, and after they went through and read it and studied it, they made up their mind to create and develop basically the first producer of self-help and personal development materials that was made available to the world. And Earl Nightingale is very well known for a particular recording he did early on called The Strangest Secret. So anyhow, I'm sharing this book with you, not because it's the only thing I'll be sharing and we'll be working with as we go over time, but it is one that had such an impact so early, especially on financial life of myself and other people that I know and that I've worked with, that I thought, well, what the heck, let's pull it out and let's go through this. Now, the book itself was published originally in 1910 by a gentleman by the name of Wallace Wattles. So I can tell you right up front right now, it's going to sound a little different than how we talk today. It's going to read a little bit different than the books we're used to reading, but it's not so different that you're not going to be able to understand it. Okay, at least I hope so. Okay, and I'm here to help out with that. So what I'm going to do is recommend that you go back and get caught up through the Facebook group, go find the videos, what we've been doing each day, because we typically are going through about a chapter-ish, okay? And then having discussion around it. And there have been a lot of things that have already been taught. As you can see, we're past halfway in the book, right? So if you want to get caught up or want to know more, download the book, go buy the book, go into our Facebook group, do whatever it is that you need or want to do, and keep following along with us. So I'm going to hop in right now. And this particular chapter that we're doing here is called Acting in a Certain Way. Okay. The very first chapters of this book were predominantly there to show you why and actually to help convince you to understand why being rich would actually be a good idea for you. Why would being rich be important? Why would having a lot of money be important for you? It was trying to show you that it's not a bad thing, because most people have hangups and programs at a subconscious level that get in the way and impede your progress when it comes to making a lot of money and developing wealth in your life. Well, he went through and discussed the reasons why it would be a good idea. I'm going to break this down, keep it really short here, and tell you right away. Here's the number one reason you want the ability to manifest however much money you really want in your life. You and I and everybody else on this planet have not become all that we're capable of becoming. We haven't. We just have not. Okay. We're still in the process of unfolding. We have not breathed our last breath. And I personally feel like after this life on earth, we're not just going to poof out of existence, but we're going to continue on our journey, just on a different plane, okay, of existence at that point. What I will say though is that we have this inner urge to unfold and become what we can become. And if we don't have money, it's hard to do. Let me give you an example really quick. There, if you potentially, or let's say a child, the child is, let's say, somewhere around the age 5 or 6 years old. And this child wants to play the piano. Okay. This child likes music. This child would like to play a piano. And let's say this child was your child. Okay. In your particular situation, maybe you could or maybe you could not afford to have a piano in your home. I don't know. But let's pretend that for whatever reason you just didn't. Okay. You didn't have the money to buy a piano, and you didn't have somebody that was just going to give you a piano. And your child, being 5 or 6 years old, they're probably not going to go to work and earn the money to buy a piano. All right. Well, here's what you don't know about your child: that your child actually has the capability, if the child played piano and got some lessons and got to practice constantly, to become one of the world's greatest concert pianists. Now, the child doesn't know that that's what it is that they're feeling, but within the child, him or herself, the child is feeling this desire to play the piano and to have music. And if you don't have a piano, this child is not going to be able to practice every day and learn how to do that. Well, guess what? Your child then, very unlikely, is going to ever become the world renowned concert pianist that they can become. Why? Because of money. Okay. But if you knew the science of getting rich and how it worked, which that's what we're going through, and you learned how to manifest whatever amount of money you needed or wanted, then of course you would have a piano in the house. And if your house was too small, you would have a bigger house. And if you live somewhere in the world where pianos are hard to find, you would be able to afford to figure out how to get one to you. Okay. And then this child could play to their heart's content. You could afford lessons, you could afford all kinds of things, and this child could unfold into the amazing world renowned concert pianist. But without money, that's not going to happen. And just in the sake, most pianos aren't cheap. Okay. And neither, lessons and all the other things that would go along with it. So I'm just giving an example that I'm not saying you want to play a piano. Okay. I'm saying that you have urges to do things. You want to become certain things. You want to do certain things, and you want to have certain things in your life. What you want and what I want, we probably have some things in common. Okay. But outside of those things that are common, we also have different interests. Why do we have different interests? Because our personal capabilities, our talents, who we are, who we were meant to become, is all a little bit different. That's part of how we were created. That's part of how we've grown. And that's why we have all kinds of personalities and different people in the world. If you don't have money, though, to buy things that help you become all you want to become, do all you want to do, and have what you want to have. And I'm not talking strictly like this accumulating of things and piles of cash and whatnot. I'm talking about, because I might like a particular car and you might like another one. Okay. And the cost for those cars could be totally different. The amount of money we need in our life is dependent upon what it is inside of us that's trying to come out, what it is that we actually naturally would become if those limitations, those financial limitations were lifted in our life. Okay. So you need to understand how to bring it into your life so that you can manifest it as necessary, as required, so that you have the free and unrestricted use of all the things necessary for your unfoldment. Now, we've gone through, again, part of this book, a good amount of the book, but we're getting to the part where we're talking about the action phases of what to do. So here we go. Acting in the certain way. Thought is the creative power or the impelling force which causes the creative power to act. Thinking in a certain way will bring riches to you, but you must not rely upon thought alone, paying no attention to personal action. This is the rock upon which many otherwise scientific metaphysical thinkers meet shipwreck, the failure to connect thought with personal action. We have not yet reached the stage of development, even supposing such a stage to be possible, in which man can create directly from the formless substance without nature's processes or the work of human hands. Okay, let me go back. Formless substance is going, Wallace Wattles is going to say some different things. He's going to talk about formless substance, original substance, thinking substance. Let me explain in a little bit more terms that you might think of today, how he would explain it if these words were what he used. But a scientist would actually talk about formless substance as energy, or they might use the term matter, M-A-T-T-E-R, okay, energy or matter. So when Wallace Wattles is talking about formless substance, original substance, thinking substance, he's talking about matter, he's talking about energy. Thinking, what do you mean it thinks? Well, it's not so much as it thinks as much as it is impressed by our thought, meaning it receives a signal from us. We call this vibration. And when we are thinking, we are creating vibration. Those vibrations, how do we know if what it is that we're creating is going to be good or bad for us, is based upon how we feel. If we feel good, we're attracting good things into our lives. If we feel bad, we're attracting bad into our lives. Luckily, it doesn't manifest instantaneously, or we would really be messed up. Okay. But what dominates our thoughts will dominate our feeling, will dominate our vibration. And what formless substance or energy or matter does is it receives that impression. And because it is permeated throughout the entire universe, my body and your body and this cup of water I'm holding, they're all made out of the exact same stuff. It's made out of energy. Okay. And because there is actually no, even though I just went like this and you see nothing here, you see my hand moving, but you don't see anything here, there is energy all around us. It's just not visible to us because the molecules are spread apart, further apart, and we can't see them with our physical eyes. But you take a microscope to your hand and power it up, and you're going to see this vibration going on in there. You're going to see energy moving around. Well, energy can actually communicate and have effect on other energy. So our thoughts and our feelings are impressed upon formless substance, and it goes out, and its purpose is to respond to that and help bring back the essence of what it is that we're thinking and feeling. Okay. So let's go back again. We have not reached the stage of development, even supposing a stage to be possible, in which man can create directly from formless substance without nature's processes or the work of human hands. Man must not only think, but his personal action must supplement his thought. By thought, you can cause the gold in the hearts of the mountains to be impelled toward you, but it will not mine itself, refine itself, coin itself into double eagles, and come rolling along the roads, seeking its way into your pocket. Under the impelling power of the Supreme Spirit, so formless substance ability to communicate through feelings, through thoughts, through images, through even words, through others, People's affairs, it says men's, people's affairs will be so ordered that someone will be led to mine the gold for you. Other people's business transactions will be so directed that the gold will be brought to you. And you must so arrange your business affairs that you may be able to receive it when it comes to you. So you've already set it up to happen, but you got to do your part. Others are going to be doing their part, and it's going to be to their benefit to do so because it's part of their mission too. It's not necessarily their specific mission to bring you gold, but there's something they're going to get as a result of doing so that is going to make their life better. Okay. Your thought makes all things, animate and inanimate, work to bring you what you want. But your personal activity must be such that you can rightly receive what you want when it reaches you. You're not to take it as charity, nor to steal it. You must give every person more in use value than they give you in cash value. And this was talked about in previous chapters. The scientific use of thought consists in forming a clear and distinct mental image of what you want, in holding fast to the purpose to get what you want, and in realizing with grateful faith that you do get what you want. Do not try to project your thought in any mysterious or occult way with the idea of having it go out and do things for you. That is wasted effort and will weaken your power to think with sanity. The action of thought in getting rich is fully explained in the preceding chapters. That's why you really should go back and study those. Your faith and purpose, so it tells you how to do it. Your faith and purpose positively impress your vision upon formless substance, which has the same desire for more life that you have. And this vision received from you sets all the creative forces at work in and through their regular channels of action, but directed toward you. It is not your part to guide or supervise the creative process. Don't sit there and try and tell God how to do his job. Okay. All you have to do with that is to retain your vision, stick to your purpose, and maintain your faith and gratitude. And then be ready. I know I'm saying this, these aren't words in the book. And then be ready to receive the revelation, the inspiration, the intuition that is going to come to you and help you understand your process in the receiving of what you want. But until that happens, your job is to work on your vision. Your job is to work on maintaining your vision and your faith and gratitude for what it is that you are wanting to manifest in your life, as if it's already manifested in your life. But you must act in a certain way, meaning through the inspiration, the revelation, the intuition, and by being obedient to the laws that govern the universe, which are also taught. And I'll go more through those outside of this book in further study, so that you can appropriate what is yours when it comes to you, so that you can meet the things you have in your picture and put them in their proper places as they arrive. You can really see the truth of this. When things reach you, they will be in the hands of other people who will ask an equivalent for them. And you can only get what is yours by giving the other person what is theirs. Now, I'm not saying you will not manifest some things in your life, or you can't, without an exchange going on. I've done it many times in my life. But as a regular course of action, if you want to understand the science of getting rich, and you want to be able to be sure that you can have the money you need or want to buy the things that you need or want so that you can unfold into the person that you want to become, it would be better to follow what Wallace Wattles is talking about here than to just hope everything is brought to you without anything being done on your part. Okay. Yes, you can manifest things with doing very little outside of thought. I have done it before, but I've not manifested everything in my life that way. And if I didn't follow inspiration, revelation, and intuition as it came to me, much of the good that I actually have received in my life wouldn't have come to me. It was on its way. It would have come to me, but I wouldn't have received it. That's probably the better way to put it. It would have been there for me, and I would have missed it. I wouldn't have received it. I wouldn't have even maybe known it was there right in front of me. All I had to do was take a particular, easy, simple, probably not difficult action, and I would have received what it was. There are very many people who, consciously or unconsciously, set the creative forces in action by the strength and persistence of their desires. So here it goes. It's about to happen. But who remain poor because they do not provide for the reception of the thing they want when it comes. It was actually there for you, but you didn't know how to receive it. By thought, the thing you want is brought to you. By action, you receive it. Whatever your action is to be, it is evident that you must act now because you cannot act in the past. And it's essential to the clearness of your mental vision that you dismiss the past from your mind. You cannot act in the future, for the future is not here yet. And you cannot tell how you'll want to act in any future contingency until that contingency has arrived. Because you're not in the right business or the right environment now, do not think that you must postpone action until you get into the right business or environment. And do not spend time in the present taking thought as the best course in possible future emergencies. Have faith in your ability to meet an emergency when it arrives. If you act in the present with your mind on the future, your present action will be with a divided mind. It will not be effective. Also, that is why when you visualize and emotionalize what it is that you want, you're doing it in present tense. Or as if it's happened, you're not putting it out in the future, or it's going to remain out in the future for you. It means you won't receive it. Put your whole mind into present action. Do not, and I didn't say massive action, okay? If you are given the intuition, revelation, inspiration to take massive action in a certain given area, do it. But if you're actually just told to take some simple action, and telling could be in maybe words that you hear, probably more in the feeling that you have. You may not have to do nearly as much as you think. You just have to do what it is that you're being guided to do. And it could be as simple as that. Do not give your creative impulse to original substance and then sit down and wait for results. If you do, you'll never get them. Act now. So what could we do to act now on that? I would say take some time right now to work on that, decide what you want, and get good at being very clear about what it is that you want, and start to visualize that and start to emotionalize that and start to live that in your imagination as if it has already happened for you, as if you're living it right now. That is a form of work for the beginning steps of this. But don't just sit there, stare at a picture, write down, I want this thing, and do nothing. It's not going to come. Okay. It just doesn't happen that way. There's never any time but now, and there will never be any time but now. If you're ever to begin to make ready for the reception of what you want, you must begin now. And your action, whatever it is, must most likely be in your present business or employment, and must be upon the persons and things in your present environment. You cannot act where you're not. You cannot act where you've been. And you cannot act where you're going to be. You can act only where you are. Do not bother as to whether yesterday's work was well done or ill done. Do today's work well. Do not try to do tomorrow's work now. There will be plenty of time to do that when you get to it. Do not try by occult or mystical means to act on people or things that are out of your reach. Do not wait for a change of environment before you act. Get a change of environment by action. You can so act upon the environment in which you are now as to cause yourself to be transferred to a better environment. Hold with faith and purpose the vision of yourself in the better environment, but act upon your present environment. So here you go. You have your vision and your faith and your purpose to have something change for you, but act upon your present environment with all your heart and with all your strength and all your mind. Do not spend any time in daydreaming or castle building. Hold to the one vision of what you want and act now. And yesterday we talked more about this and the difference between what it is to visualize, emotionalize in with purpose to manifest versus just daydreaming. Okay. Because daydreaming has some of the essence of what you need to do, but it's missing some ingredients. Do not cast about seeking some new thing to do or some strange, unusual, or remarkable action to perform as a first step toward getting rich. Okay. It is probable that your actions, at least for some time to come, will be those you've been performing for some time past. But you are to begin now to perform these actions in the certain way, which will make you rich. If you are engaged in some business and feel that it is not the right one for you, do not wait until you get in the right business before you begin to act. Do not feel discouraged or sit down and lament because you're misplaced. No person was ever so misplaced that they could not find the right place. And no person ever became so involved in the wrong business that they couldn't get into the right business. Hold the vision of yourself in the right business with the purpose to get into it and the faith that you will get into it and are getting into it. But act in your present business. Use your present business as the means of getting a better one, and use your present environment as the means of getting into a better one. Your vision of the right business, see, here's where the power comes in, if held with faith and purpose, will cause the Supreme to move the right business toward you. And your action, if performed in a certain way, will cause you to move toward the business. If you're an employer or a wage earner and feel that you must change places in order to get what you want, do not project your thought into space and rely upon it to get you another job. It will probably fail to do so. Hold the vision of yourself in the job you want while you act with faith and purpose on the job you have, and you will certainly get the job you want. Your vision and faith will set the creative force in motion to bring it toward you, and your action will cause the forces in your environment to move you toward the place you want. In closing this chapter, we will add another statement to our syllabus. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. In order to do this, man must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. He must form a clear mental picture of the things he wants and hold this picture in his thoughts with a fixed purpose to get what he wants and the unwavering faith that he does get what he wants, closing his mind to all that may tend to shake his purpose, dim his vision, or quench his faith. That he may receive what he wants when it comes, man must act now upon the people and things in his present environment. So we're going to stop there for today as far as the book goes. Looks like we've got about 5 more minutes. So here's what we're going to go ahead and do. Okay. I'll go longer than 5 minutes, but basically when the 5 minutes is done, if you got to go, you got to go. I want to be respectful of your time. So what I'm going to do is keep the recording going for the next 5 minutes or so. And then after that, I'll probably stick around 5 to 15 minutes longer if our conversation is moving forward and you have more questions or comments or things you want to share. So at this point, what I would like you to do is if you have any questions, comments, ahas that maybe came to you while we were going through this, maybe personal experience with some of the things that we're talking about that could be useful for others, now is the time to share. What I'd like you to do is just take yourself off of mute. I'm not going to go into chat. Okay. Just take yourself off of mute and start speaking. The first person to speak will be the first person to share, and then we'll continue on that way. So who has anything that they would like to share or any question they would like to ask?
Hi, just real quick. Is this very much similar to the law of attraction and follow all the same principles as that? I'm kind of vaguely familiar with that.
Yeah, the science of getting rich. This particular book, okay, this particular process that Wallace Wattles is taking us through is very specifically guided towards manifesting money and wealth, right? That obviously we can manifest other things in our life, but he's going through the process that has worked very well over and over and over again for the people that want to have more money and wealth in their life. Now, what you will find are there definitely some similar steps, and there are going to be things for manifesting other things in your life, like health, right? Like relationships and whatnot. But what he's essentially saying here is this: look, if you don't have enough money in your life to have the free and unrestricted use of the things that are going to be required for you to develop into the person that you're capable of becoming, then one of the first things you should do is figure out how to manifest that money in your life, the amount that you would need in order to have those things. Like the example I talked about with the piano player, right? That person maybe could care less about money, to be honest. Their creative side is there. They're fine if they have a roof over their head and they got food to eat and maybe they've got some friends and transportation, but they don't have the piano, dang it. And their friend doesn't have the piano, the neighbor doesn't. And even if they did, this person could become a concert pianist. They really would need a piano in their home to have the ability and time to practice enough to turn into that concert pianist. So Waddles is saying, hey, look, I'm not going to tell you how much money you should want to have, but I will tell you that if you don't have the free and unrestricted use of the things that will help you develop into the person you can become, allow you to do the things you want to do, and allow you to have the experiences in life and some of the things that you like to have in life, you are going to have an emptiness. And the world we live in, the means of exchange is money right now. At some point, there may not be any currency involved. Right now, it's like plastic and electronic. Who cares? Whatever it is that we have to use as a means of exchange so that we can go buy the things we want and or rent the things we want from someone else who owns them so we can use it. If we don't have the ability to do that, we are actually impeding our progress of what we're able to do with our life. So he talks about why this is so important. He doesn't do it in the terms of just being rich for the sake of gathering up as much money as you possibly can. There's a purpose behind it. And that's why every person on earth, the amount of money that they would need or want for themselves would probably be different. Now, there are people that just go about competitively working to acquire money and riches. And in previous chapters, Wallace talks about why he feels that that's not the right way to go about doing it. Because anything acquired on the competitive plane by stepping on people, by, trying to force people to do things and whatnot, first of all, it's a hard way to get the job done. Second of all, you're going to upset the universe and the world and God. And ultimately, what comes back is going to come back and bite you. And you're always going to have the fear that somebody else, better, stronger, faster, more powerful, is going to come and take your spot in life and maybe remove from you what you have. But if you understand how to do this in a scientific way, in a creative way, then you never have to have fear that you're going to lose what you got. So is that helpful, Joe?
Yeah. Are there any other methods or strategies to finding your purpose or finding the means in which to to acquire your wealth that are given other than the other than mentally dwelling on it?
Are you talking about specific vehicles?
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm just throwing stuff out there. Are you talking about like how to be a real estate investor, how to trade stocks, or how
No,
to be an
no, just
entrepreneur?
not that specific. Just something to find your finding something that suits you um,
Hmm.
to your abilities and to to
Sure, sure.
where
So
you understand where I'm going.
I do, I do.
Okay.
If you actually want to do and have what comes most natural and easy for you to happen, First of all, go back and if you haven't read the book yet, go to the beginning because he talks about some of what you're asking. Okay.
Okay.
But here's what I found has happened for me, and I know it's happened for well, everybody I've coached. Okay. If you actually focus on your end results of what you want first, and I know this will seem backwards to other people because it's like, no, I need to go find a job first, or I got to have an income source first, or whatever. But if you will actually make up your mind, and this is where people don't want to do this because it's more work than what you're used to. And I mean, it's a lot, it is mental work because we weren't trained to do this. But when we become clear about what we want, you will be guided and directed to do things that suit you and different ways that people can actually receive things in their life. I'm gonna, because we're a little bit over, I'm gonna cut the recording. I'll keep going for a few minutes in explanation to you, Joe.
Okay.
Give you an example, but I'm going to cut that just because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm holding you hostage. Okay. Of course, you have the ability to come off if you want anyway, but sometimes people feel like that's rude. If you got to go, you got to go. I get it. You can come back in, but you'll miss out on this discussion. So if you got the opportunity to stick around, you might want to. I'm going to cut the recording now.